Welcome to Revenge Justice, where every wrong finds its payback.
They say betrayal doesn't start with lies. It starts with silence. With the small things that go unsaid. The glances that linger too long. And the laughter that doesn't sound the same anymore. In the quiet town of Maple Ridge, a man named Ethan Carter learned that truth the hardest way. Ethan wasn't rich. He wasn't famous. He was just solid. A carpenter who built half the porches in town and repaired furniture that had been handed down for generations. A man who believed a promise was still sacred. A man who believed that people could, and would, honor the words they spoke in quiet rooms and over candlelit dinners. He and Lydia had been married for 8 years. Everyone thought they were perfect, the kind of couple people mentioned when they said, "See? Love still exists." Ethan thought so too, until the day the laughter stopped sounding like theirs. It began small. Lydia started working late, too late. She stopped leaving her phone on the counter. Stopped asking Ethan how his day was. She no longer remembered the little things, the way he liked his coffee, the songs he hummed when sanding wood, the quiet sigh he gave when he finally sat down after a long day. And the thing about good people like Ethan is, they always blame themselves first. He thought maybe he wasn't enough. Maybe she needed space. Maybe the stress from his workshop was wearing on her. So he worked harder. Cooked dinner. Left little notes in her bag. Tried to love her louder than her silence. But silence can be louder than any scream. He began noticing the subtle shifts, the way she laughed too quickly at jokes she didn't understand, the way she stared out the window as if looking past him, the way she avoided touching his hand unless it was polite, brief, obligatory. One evening, he followed her instincts without realizing it. He took the long way home, pretending to stop at the hardware store, but really to watch the office building where she claimed to stay late. He didn't want to see anything, he didn't want to betray his own curiosity. Yet curiosity has a way of finding its way to the heart. Her car was there. The lights were on. And laughter, her laughter, spilled through the open window. He peeked inside. And there it was. Lydia wasn't alone. Her hand rested on her coworker's arm, a touch too familiar, a smile too soft. Ethan didn't storm in. Didn't shout. Didn't demand answers. He just walked away. Slowly. Quietly. Like a man carrying a secret too heavy to speak. For days, Ethan said nothing. He went to work. Fixed tables. Built fences. Hung doors. Shaped wood into more than furniture, he shaped it into reminders that some things could still be trusted. He wasn't the type to destroy someone. But he couldn't live a lie. So he gathered proof, emails, messages, receipts, not to ruin Lydia, but to protect himself from her version of the truth. Because in small towns, stories travel faster than facts, and rumors often have teeth sharper than steel. He didn't tell a soul. Not his father, not his brother, not the neighbors who waved politely in the streets. He felt it was something he needed to carry alone. A burden no one else could bear with him, because no one else could understand the quiet devastation of someone who had trusted too deeply. When Lydia finally came home one night, Ethan was waiting, calm, collected, as if he had carried this weight 1,000 times in his mind already. "Lydia," he said quietly. "I know." She froze. Didn't even try to deny it. But she did what people often do when caught, she blamed him. She said he was distant. Cold. She said she'd found comfort elsewhere. She whispered it like it was a justification, like it made the betrayal smaller somehow. Ethan didn't argue. He simply slid a folder across the table. Inside, every message, every photo, every lie she'd told. Her face went pale. "Are you going to tell everyone?" she whispered. He looked at her for a long time, letting the silence stretch like a bridge over a canyon. "I don't have to. The truth tells itself." For a week, Lydia moved in and out of the house as if she were a ghost trying to reclaim a space she no longer inhabited. But the house that had once been theirs was no longer hers to command. Ethan didn't yell. Didn't storm. He simply packed a bag for her one evening, setting it on the porch. "You should go," he said. And she did. A week later, Ethan announced he was closing his old workshop. Then reopened under a new name, Carter & Company. Custom Works. On opening day, half the town showed up. People had heard whispers, not from him, but from the way Lydia suddenly moved out of town, and how Ethan carried himself afterward, calm, unbroken, and strong. He never badmouthed her. Never shared the details. But he didn't hide, either. He simply told anyone who asked. Sometimes truth hurts. But it heals too. And slowly, quietly, the town understood what really happened. Months passed. Ethan poured his pain into his work. Each table he built, each chair he crafted, was made with hands that had learned how to let go. He carved intricate designs into wood, sometimes including small, hidden details that told stories only he knew. Birds in flight, a river bending through a valley, a single rose petal pressed into the grain, all reminders that beauty can grow out of heartbreak. Even his nights changed. He stopped lying awake, replaying conversations in his mind, waiting for answers that would never come. Instead, he sat on the back porch with his dog, Henry, watching the sunset wash over the town in golds and ambers. He let himself feel the stillness, the quiet triumph of surviving something that could have destroyed him. And then, one evening, a customer, a local teacher named Sarah, stopped by to thank him for fixing her father's old rocking chair. "You brought something broken back to life," she said. He smiled softly and replied, "I guess I've had practice." There was a pause. A recognition between them that some pain, some loss, can teach a person more than joy ever could. As the months turned into a year, Ethan became known not for what he lost, but for what he built afterward. Maple Ridge stopped whispering about Lydia's betrayal. They started talking about Ethan's resilience, his honesty, his quiet strength. Parents told their children about him, not the man who had been betrayed, but the man who had endured. And maybe that was the best kind of revenge there is. Not shouting the truth, but living it so loudly the world can't ignore it. Sometimes the sweetest justice isn't payback. It's peace. Ethan's life began to take on a new rhythm. He started mentoring young apprentices, teaching them not just how to shape wood, but how to approach life with care and precision. He spoke to them about integrity, about honor, about the way a person's character could outlast even the sharpest betrayal. He found small joys he had almost forgotten, the smell of sawdust in the morning, the laughter of children playing by the riverbank, the satisfaction of a perfectly jointed corner in a chair. One crisp autumn evening, he met someone new, Claire, a local librarian. She had a quiet strength, a warmth that didn't demand attention but commanded it anyway. They met over coffee, and then over books, and then over long walks through the changing leaves. With Claire, Ethan discovered that love didn't have to be loud to be profound. That trust could be rebuilt slowly, like the careful layering of varnish on a hand-carved table. He never forgot Lydia, never stopped remembering the way betrayal felt like a physical weight in his chest. But he learned that memory need not chain a person. Memory could be a teacher, a quiet reminder of what one was capable of enduring and overcoming. And in time, the town of Maple Ridge saw it too. They saw a man who had been broken but remained unbowed. They saw someone who had turned pain into creation, silence into strength, betrayal into wisdom. Because truth, real truth, doesn't need to be shouted. It just needs to be lived. And sometimes, when the world expects you to break, you show them what rebuilding looks like. Ethan Carter became more than a man wronged. He became a symbol. A quiet force of resilience. Years later, when a young couple asked him for advice on marriage, he would smile softly and say, "Love is beautiful, yes. But it's also fragile. And the measure of a person isn't how they love when it's easy, it's how they rise when it's not." Maple Ridge never forgot. And Ethan, in his calm, steady way, never stopped rising. If you liked this video and Ethan's journey, Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories of truth, resilience, and quiet strength.